マルコ伝、新約聖書、はい、第4章です。Chapter 4、はい、Mark Chapter 4。はい、21節から、verses 21、はい、through 25、verses 21 through 25。This is a very famous passage concerning the words of God. It is said, is a lamp, brought to be put under, basket or under a bed? Is it not to be set on the lampstand? For there is nothing hidden which will not be revealed, nor has anything been kept secret, but that it should come to light. This, the parable of, this lamp, Jesus, set forth, toward, disciples, toward, crowd. What was it, Jesus was talking about? The secret things, hidden things, that Jesus was talking about. According to the Revelation, book of Revelation, chapter 1, the lampstand, signifies unto us, churches. It's a church. And also, the light the Bible talks about, it is a words of God. It's a teaching of Christ. For King David, he was being inspired by the Holy Spirit and said, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." So the light, Jesus, talks about, it says, the words of God, and the lampstand is the church. So the words of God are supposed to be given to the church, to the light of the world. But there's a couple of things Jesus was, mentioning, such as a basket and a bed could, darken the counsel, the light of the Lord. はい、旧約聖書、ヨブ記です。38章。はい、Job, chapter 38。はい、では、1節から、はい、6節まで読んでみましょう。はい、verses 1 through 6。verses 1 through 6。はい、as we all know, Job was a righteous person. Even God, admitted. Also, he was, working in the sight of God, uprightly. There was no false or any, trespasses, he committed, which, he, according to his, knowledge. And, the working uprightly or, living righteously, we must seek, God's righteousness, and then also seek, justice. And we've been hearing justice lately. The Lord, the Bible, the Scripture, often talks about, justice and righteousness concerning widow and also orphans. The unjust, judge, Bible talks about. Jesus said, "Take heed and then listen to what this, unjust, judge says." He said himself, he was, unjust. Even he was not, godly. He was not godly. There's no fear of God. Nevertheless, there was a widow who was, coming to him, and then day or night, to beg him to do, justice for her. And then he didn't pay any attention first, but since she kept coming to him, troubled him, so he said to himself, "What shall I do? I am unjust. I do not fear God, but if I leave her alone, she kept coming to me and bug me. So let me just justice for her. Let me take care of her problem." And then, so she will be stopping, coming to him. Jesus said, hear this, unjust, judge says. What, unjust judge, says. Sometimes we pray once or twice, and if there's no sign or answer, God answering our prayers, we quit. We stop seeking Him. But Jesus was teaching we must not discourage ourselves, but continually seek Him. But why this unjust judge did not pay attention to such a widow first? Because it was not financially profitable to him. So we should not have any partiality like this. Once again, God is sending rain to both just people and just people. Also causes sunrise both obedient and not so obedient. So in order for us to like-minded with Jesus Christ, so we conform ourselves to the divine image of Jesus Christ. We must seek justice and then righteousness. Nevertheless, if we live uprightly, justly, still sometimes we have to go through such hardships, even tribulations. So this is what Book of Job teaches us. Even though Job living righteously, but he suddenly to him temptation came to him. And then in the end, Job and then his three good friends, they argued one another. They were speculating why such things took place upon Job. And then in the end, the Lord God Almighty appeared to Job and these friends, and then the Lord said this. Who is this who darkens counsel by words without knowledge? So the Lord God appeared and then said such things. And then please take note of that. The parable of the lampstand. Jesus mentioned the mark two things: basket and then bed. Also, Gospel of Luke and Matthew also talks about the vessel. So actually, there are three things could possibly darken the counsel of the Lord, which is the justice of the Lord, the words of the Lord. So the basket, bed, and then vessel could darken the counsel of the Lord. Hi, once again, Jesus, mentioned the three things could, darken, could block, the light of the words of God. Once again, the basket, also the vessel, and then also bed. Bed, signifies unto us, it's, fear. It's fear. Bed is not, the something, signifies unto us, rest or peace. But bed, Bible talks about it is a metaphor of fear. When we are bed rest because of a sickness or illness or injury, this is associated with fear and maybe frustration. For example, for instance, John the Baptist, at the first, Jesus came to him to be baptized. John plainly, openly, testified that Jesus was the Lamb of God, takes sin from the world. And then in the end, he was seized, and then he was thrown into jail, and then he knew somehow his the end of his life is at the hand, and then he had to send two of his disciples to Jesus to ask him whether he was the one or they should look for another. So in the end, John the Baptist, the light of the words of God was not shining in his heart. So there was something blocked, the light of the words of God. So the Bible talks about a couple of things could darken the counsel of the Lord or block the light of the glory of God. Isaiah 38, verses 9 to 17. verses 9 to 17. 9節から17節まで。we just minutes ago we read in the book of Job. Job was living justly, and then he was working in the sight of God uprightly. But he was seeking justice and then also righteousness of God. But men like him, such a terrible calamity and tribulation came to him. Temptation came to him. Why? The question. This is a good question. Why such a righteous person has to suffer like that? And then this is a this passage we read in Isaiah 38. This is a concerning things happened to Hezekiah, king of Judah. As we all know, King Hezekiah was righteous person. He was a good good king. He did many good things in the sight of God. And then Moses' time, Moses created golden bronze serpent. And then the Lord God commanded Moses in the wilderness, lift up this serpent and up high. And whoever saw this serpent, they were all healed. They were dying because of the red fiery serpent and bitten those people in Israel who complained. So whoever saw the serpent lifted up in the air in the wilderness, they were all healed. But Moses' time, no one worshipped such a thing. But in the later days, children's time, people of Israel started worship such bronze serpent Moses created. And then so Hezekiah had to destroy it because it became an idol to Israelites. So Hezekiah did many good things in the sight of God, and he became ill, and he was dying. Isaiah came to him and delivered the words of God. Live well. You could not live anymore. And then Hezekiah cried, and then he facing a war, and then pray. Why he was he prayed facing toward war. And according to the book of Daniel, there was many passages indicating there was many images of paintings of animals and other things, the idols. So probably maybe Hezekiah's heart, without noticing himself, maybe began to depart from the Lord. We are not so sure, but this is maybe possible. This is maybe possible. And then Hezekiah prayed, saying, "Remember the Lord, remember what I did, for your sake." And then the Lord God, heard, his prayer and supplication, and then the Lord God, prolonged his life 15 more years, and then he was healed. And then, the prayer he prayed, verses 9 to the 17. This is after Hezekiah was healed. What he said, verses 15 and 16, 15 and 16. Then 16. O Lord, by these things men live. This was actually, I believe, a prophecy. Just as David left, King David left many prophecies concerning Christ, concerning the Messiah. King Hezekiah, he said such things. I don't think common people, ordinary men, could not say such things. By these things men live, and in all these things, in the life of my spirit shall live.